And I know y'all see him, and we're talking about basketball. I know people look at you and they say he's 6'8". I told you 6 what?
6'7", 6'8", somewhere
6'7",
in there.
6'8".
Something like that.
Probably thought you should have a career in basketball. I'm pretty sure, right?
Most people. Well, did I think that, or did people think that?
Both.
Well, people. Anytime you see someone tall, they're just like, "Oh, you're gonna play basketball." So, I thought that I was going to play. I figured I would probably maybe play in college, and I'm gonna be very real. It wasn't until I was, and this is something we may get into. I don't know, but I was not a good student at all in high school. I was a horrible student, to be honest. I wasn't a good student, and and it wasn't. It was, and it's funny, but I remember like my sophomore year, University of Delaware came to our school, and they were talking about what you need to get into U of D. And before the meeting, I'm like, I'm going to just go to UD like everybody else, live the dream, whatever. And I remember them saying, yeah, you have to have this GPA, or this SAT. And I'm like, whoa, that's not me. Let me get serious about this basketball situation and see.
What grade were you in to have?
That was my sophomore year of high school. Because I always, and this is a thing that a lot of people don't know, like, for me, I've always struggled academically. Always. I mean always. Like, first grade, second grade. I've never been like I was never the whiz kid.
Right.
I can pick up stuff. And it wasn't until recently where I actually went to go and get tested. I realized I have ADHD and I have dyslexia.
Wow.
So
now, before you get into the ADHD and the dyslexia, we look, normally we just like to get a banter, but we went right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Taking Over the World podcast.
Hello.
And look, I know you're like, who's this guy with this ADHD who stands at 6'8", et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, for all the listeners out there or the viewers out there, and you're seeing how tall this guy is. I got to stand up in my seat just so I can feel like somewhat fake comfortable. But I'm here I call him my mayor.
Oh, God bless you, man.
In with Eugene Young.
Blake, it's always good to be with you, brother.
Pleasure. Thank you for coming to the show,
thankful.
good brother.
I'm seriously, I'm thankful for the invite to be here.
I appreciate you. I mean, just I know you got a lot going on.
Well, we make this happen. When you asked, you said you need to come on, and it was 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it was literally like yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. You need
yesterday.
me to do something. You're doing good work. I'm seeing you everywhere. When I'm jogging, when speaking, so why not show the love and come on the podcast?
I appreciate it.
There
so
it
for
is.
people who've been living under a rock, or not even, of course, this is worldwide. So people who don't know you, who are you? Who's Eugene Young?
I am father, husband. Those are like the best titles in the world. Then just a son of the city of Wilmington, essentially. I'm just a guy that just wants to help people. And I hate to sound so altruistic, but I just like being of service and helping people. Born and raised here in Wilmington. Trying to be of service to the community as best I can. And whether that's through nonprofits or government, just trying to be of service. That's about it.
Listen, I love that. And one thing, like he's been very, very modest right now. But for people who don't know, I wanted Eugene on the show because not only is he a native of my hometown, Wilmington, Delaware, but he is giving so much back to the city of Wilmington, to the community. If I said I'm gonna call you my mayor, probably president, we always joke. I see you in the streets, I'm like, Mr. President, Mr. President, because you're doing so much to the community activists, always promoting.
Thank you.
Just to give back to the community. You guys have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And just to let you guys know, you formally this past year you ran for mayor of the city.
Yes.
Did not win in a lot of
lost
people.
Lost by 234 votes. No one's counting. No one's counting.
I'm counting.
I grabbed
too.
the chair and everything.
and
the table.
That leads to, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on as far as 234 votes.
Absolutely.
And not becoming the mayor. But
Absolutely.
before we even got to that point of you running for election for this city, talk a little about your background. I mean, how was it growing up in the city? Your brothers, sisters, both parents? What do you got?
So I was born and raised on the east side of Wilmington, East Fifth Street to be exact. Like most kids during my generation, born in Wilmington General Hospital. Were you born in Wilmington General Hospital?
I I think I was.
There you-
What was General Hospital?
Wilmington General Hospital
General.
on the west side. But anyway,
Is it called General Hospital?
Wilmington. It used to be Wilmington General Hospital on the west side, where where like Byard School around that area.
Yeah.
That's where most of the kids, early '80s babies were born. Wilmington General Hospital.
Really? For real?
Yeah, it's no longer there. Yeah. Just a weird fact that you learn when you're running for mayor. I don't know.
Who pulls that up though?
I don't know. I just know you talk to enough people. Here's the thing: you talk to so many people. When you talk to so many people, there's so many different facts and so many different things. Like you'll knock on doors and people will say, "Yeah, I remember when the hospital was here or something." Because you'll meet people that have lived in the same neighborhood for 50 years,
Wow.
and they'll say, "Yeah, I remember when the hospital was there, and I remember when this was going on," and you learn so much about it. So yes, so. Randomly, yes. Wilmington General Hospital. There you go. Right. Shout out to the now not there Wilmington General Hospital. But anyway, grew up on the east side. Beautiful. I tell people all the time, my mother and father are two greatest people to walk the planet Earth. I'm really, really fortunate. Both of them in my life. My father is he retired. He was in the Air Force. He is interesting about both of my parents' stories. My father was actually born and raised in Chester, Pennsylvania. His mother died when he was like 3 or 4. His father was 9 in his life. And so his aunt raised him, and she told him when he turned 18, I don't care where you go, but you got to get the hell out of here. Yeah. Right. And so he ended up going into the Air Force. A lot of my uncles and cousins from Chester all went into the Air Force, Navy, Marines, whatever. Then he built himself a career. Ended up working for Boeing Air and Space. Meets my mother. My mother's a teacher. She taught in Red Clay School District for like 30 years, 25, 30 years. It's interesting how they're dynamic and how my younger sister and I are, because my father is very much a recluse. He likes to stay in the house. My father doesn't go out. No one's probably even seen my dad. I go to work, I come home, I care about my family, my kids, that's it. My mother, everybody.
He was a killer back in the day.
I don't know what he was. He was doing something. I don't know.
Hopefully, Young, I'm just kidding. No.
But he's very much, he likes to be in the house. He loves politics, the whole nine. My mother just gets irritated because it's on too much on the TV. My mother taught, as I said earlier, she taught school, so everybody knows her. And wherever she goes, she's always talking to somebody. She's always helping somebody out, and it's just so interesting, that dynamic. And I'm just really fortunate to have such loving and wonderful parents, and have an amazing sister that does video production, everything else. She's the smarter one of the two of us.
Shout out to Erin.
Yeah, shout out to Erin
for putting this thing together.
She puts up with me so much. Outside of my wife, I don't think anyone puts up with me more than my sister. But she's just amazing. So I had that great family foundation, and then outside of that, and this is why I think where Wilmington has been so supportive in just changing my life, and just I am who I am because of the city, because of the East Side. If it were not for, I tell people all the time, especially having a child, but when you walk outside of your home, your parents can give you everything they want to give you. They can teach you as much as they can, but it's when you walk outside, they just hope. It's like this essential prayer that you hope that people are going to double down on everything that you tell them inside the house. Mm-hmm. And I was really fortunate because I had people in my neighborhood that really looked out for me, whether it was like Michael Dorsey. He's worked for the city of Wilmington for like 20, 30 years in license inspection. He's like a second father to me. And he lived 2 doors down. And there's other people that were like second fathers to me from the neighborhood, whether my coaches at People's Settlement, all these different individuals that kind of propped me up. Went to St. Mark's High School, had an amazing experience out there. It was an eye-opening experience, to say the least.
So how does somebody from East Side get to St.
Mark's? I don't. So that's a good question. So I liked St. Mark's. The year before, I was all about basketball, right? I liked basketball. The year before they won the championship, seemed like a good school. There's a ton of people there. I don't know. I don't know what. I really sitting back. Maybe some of the kids from my school were going there. I don't know. And I ended up going there, and I enjoyed it. But I tell people all the time, like, there was one thing that St. Mark's showed me, and it was an eye-opening experience for me. So it wasn't until I went out to St. Mark's where I realized, like, people live pretty good. Like, I didn't know about suburban sprawl. I didn't know about, Limestone Hills, all that kind of good stuff. And you see so many people from the Pike Creek area, and you form these friendships with people. So you realize a couple things. But the first thing I realized was there's genius lies equally among us. There were just as many smart people at St. Mark's as there was, or rather just as many smart people in my neighborhood as there was at St. Mark's. Because one of the things I really focus on is the fact that, and especially now with some of the work that I do, there were people who in my neighborhood that would do the same thing as a lot of people that I went to school with, and it would be two different reactions.
So for the people who don't know out there, and he's talking about the people from the city, which is East Side, which is predominantly
Black,
African American, Black folks.
We had one white family.
You do get one white family.
You get one white family.
You do.
Dave.
And they get a lot of respect.
It's
so funny. They get a lot of respect.
Dave had his truck and he was quiet. He went in and out. Whatever.
Right.
Good guy.
Right. And then in St. Mark's is predominantly white.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's suburban.
Absolutely.
St. Mark's, I think you got to pay to get in St. Mark's.
You got to pay. Tuition, right? You got to pay some tuition to get. It's nothing, and it's unfortunate in the sense today. It is. I mean, these schools are pretty expensive. You're talking like $10,000, $12,000. Yeah. You go to some of these other schools like Sanford, you're talking like $25,000. Howard Hill, $24,000. Back then, it was. I mean, this is in the '90s, so it's totally different then than it was today. But it was just a different. It just opened me up to a different world, and I did not know was out there. And so you see, you just see these. You see even the interaction of the police and with individuals. It just changes everything. You see how you go to a party out in Pike Creek and a cop will come into a house, everybody runs like roaches, and the cop just gets back in his car and just drives off. Happens in Wilmington, people are getting arrested. Right. People it's just a different lifestyle. And so that kind of
oh, you're going to be the future president. Are you allowed to say that?
No, but I'm just being. I got to be real. So,
absolutely.
But it was, and there was some beautiful people that I met during my time living over East Side. And there was beautiful people up at St. Mark's that changed my life. If it were not for Lee Sibley and it were not for Coach Bill Harmon, I wouldn't be here today. I'm keeping it real. As I said, I wasn't a good student. I had a difficulty in just learning. It's hard for me to take tests, standardized tests. I am being brutally honest. If you put a standardized test in front of me right now, my hands will start clamming up. I'm like, oh my God. I'd rather speak in front of 10,000 people and take a standardized test. I remember specifically when I was at St. Mark's, I was offered a scholarship for college, and at a school? Marist College up in Poughkeepsie, New York. And I remember they were seriously looking at me and they said, look, we just need to make sure your grades are on point, right? And I thought, oh yeah, I'm all right. What
was your GPA? Come on.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest.
I want you to lie.
I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? It's a side where people would say, well, to be honest with you, I'm like, well, what was you lying to me?
No, I'm not.
I know. It's just, no.
But I'll tell you the story. So I had to get, how you have to qualify, so you have to have a certain SAT score and a certain GPA in order to qualify.
And it's a balance.
It's a balance scale. It's a balance scale. So if the lower your SAT score, the higher your GPA has to be, and vice versa. So I took the SAT, and I knew, this is before I even got the results, but I knew it wasn't well. And they were like, well, what's your GPA? And so I was like, hey, no, I don't know. It's high 2s, 3. I don't know.
High 2s.
So I said this, right? And I remember going to my guidance counselor, Mr. Smee, right? And I'll never forget this day.
That sounds like a guidance counselor.
It sounds like Mr. Smee, yeah. He was tough. He's a good guy. And he says, well, what do you need? I said, look, this school is interested in offering me a scholarship. I just need to know what my GPA is so I can just get the scholarship and call it a day. He said, all right, well, he starts looking through the papers, right? He's like, well, what do you need to have? I was like, I thought I had a high 2s, 3. He's flipping. Yeah, he's giving me the look. And he's like, all right. And we're there. He hadn't said a word. He's flipping through pages, writing stuff down, flipping through pages, writing stuff down. Man, I had a 2.0, one. I was so much kissing 1.9, 2.0. It was.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, man. I was like, and I walked out there. I was like, I'm an idiot, Right. And he said, look, you got to get this thing together. If you have time to pull your grades up. And I was like, all right. So I got serious about my grades, but I had to spend a lot of time studying. Like I didn't understand why I wasn't able to get it, you know? Yeah. It was
especially being at St. Mark's, you're like, hey, I could be quote unquote token black guy.
Yeah.
I'm coming from the hood. And I'm like, I got, it's a sense to compete. And then sometimes, some people might not be able to handle that.
It's weird because, and here's the funny thing. I remember like my bus stop.
St. Mark's came to the hood?
Yeah. They had to pick up Logan. They had to pick up Logan was on like 5th and what was he? He was around Jackson Street. He got picked up around Jackson Street Boys Club. Then
so for the people who don't know Logan is your best friend since childhood. Fake top model.
Yeah, fake top model, the whole nine. Yeah, the whole nine. Love Logan. So he lived over on the west side, right down the street from West Center City, Hicks Anderson Center, which is like 5th and Morrow. And so they would come pick him up over the west side. Another one of my friends, Lawrence Hines, is a firefighter now. They used to pick him. He was on 30th and Jefferson. So they used to be
St. Mark's too?
Yeah, he was there for 2 years. Then he transferred out. That's a whole nother story. But
if y'all don't, wait, it's too dark.
No, it's not too dark. You can always crack jokes on
basketball. Wesley Snipes with a ball head. Charles. Shout out to my boy Lawrence. Yeah, man.
Shout out to I love Lawrence. I've really good. Known him since I was in 6th, 7th grade. Just a good human being. But they used to come. So they used to come pick us up and everything, and it was weird because when I used to go to my bus stop, I had Glasgow at one corner, like 20 people for Glasgow at one corner, Newark at another, or Christiana. Matter of fact, it was Glasgow and Christiana. They had different bus stops over there, and then you had people walking to Howard. And I remember people always coming up to me, and I remember the first day of school, this woman, young lady. Yeah, I don't want to say that. She said, where are you going? You got a job? Because I had to wear my suit and tie. She was like, you got a job? You're too young to be working. I was like, no, I'm going to school, But it was hilarious. It was funny. But long story short, it was interesting because a lot of people, like my neighbor, I remember my neighbor would bring over homework like, hey, man, can you help me with this homework? I'm like, yo, man, do you understand? I'm not getting what's going on at my own school, right. In my own situation. Right. How am I going to help you? Right. And then people at St. Mark's are like, this guy doesn't get it,
So people in the hood thought you were smart.
Yeah, just because, you were smart enough. Yeah, because people would, there's this assumption, with private schools around here that, you go to a private school, you're automatically smart. Yeah. So I just struggled in school, and I was fortunate to have some amazing individuals. Like my coach, this is why I love him to this day. Forever love this man. So Lee Sibley, I remember when I told him that I wasn't qualifying and I had to get a higher SAT score. He was like, oh my gosh. Like when I was telling him my grades and everything, he was like, oh, he actually suspended me so that I could work on my grades. Like when I was in high school, when I was a sophomore in high school, he suspended me. So I could work on my grades. He was like, your grades are most important. And I was busting my butt, but it was just hard for me. But when it came time for me to get a scholarship, he suspended me because he was like, your grades are most important. My first day back, I remember he suspended me for like the first month of the season. And my first day back was going down to.
The coach suspended.
The coach, yeah.
Just from playing basketball? Yeah. Okay, I'm thinking like suspended from school.
No, not from school. I'm sorry.
From St. Mark's and all type of trouble.
No. He suspended me. And he was like, you need to get your grades together. So I started working, getting it. Yeah. And more importantly than that, he just didn't suspend me. But like this later on, like a year or two later, when I was struggling on my SAT, he said to me, you know what? Come to my house. Meet me on Wednesday at my house. I'm going to tutor you. He tutored me himself. I would go to his house and he would tutor me to get a higher score on my SAT. And I will respect that to this day because he didn't say go here or go there. He said, you're going to come here and I'm going to tutor you. And he tutored me and he helped me along the process. And so for me, while I was able to go to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, amazing school, look it up. But I was able to go there and I did well, right? I got 2 degrees, one in information systems, the other in sociology. But I still struggled. Like academically, I didn't get my first 3.0 till like I was a senior in high school. I'm a senior in college. My first 3.0, I was like, whoa. And this is on my way out. This is my last semester. But
I know that feeling.
I know, yeah. But you work. I just was not. Academia and I just did not mix and did not mesh. And then it just so happened, like years later, I remember I was watching like an HBO special. I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, wife now, and I was like, "Look at this special. This is talking about someone has a tough time paying attention, mixing up letters and words, da 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 da." And trouble with this and that. And I'm telling it to her, she was like, that sounds like you. I was like, yeah, it does. And so I click on the info link and it's like, speaking, the truth about dyslexia or something like that. And I'm like, oh, snap, And so I actually went to a doctor and, I got tested and everything. They were like, you have, ADHD, you have certain signs of dyslexia. And so it shows, and so they were able to understand how how it was hard for me in school. And I would even say this, this is how I knew something was up. I knew this in high school, something was up. There was a friend of mine who, how in every class there's a kid who is the last one to finish? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I was that guy every time. And no matter what class I was in, I was me and there was another guy. We were the last two to finish every time. And it got so bad that we would tell teachers, the teachers would say, all right, it's time to hand in your test, guys. Come on. And we'll say, we actually get more time. We have TTD. And I'm like, okay. And so they give us more time. Right. And then the jig is up. She says, well, what is TTD? It's test taking disorder. She's like, what? And I'm like, we just made it up. We just trying to figure out a way to get, to get by. So
I love it.
And so, you try, you figure out ways to kind of, I guess, work the system. Because I didn't know. I just thought that I wasn't that bright. I thought, but then you realize it's actually a way that you learn. Is how you comprehend information and all these different things that has made it easier for me as a man. But now you're just so used to finding ways of figuring out things on your own anyway. So, I mean, but things like that make me think about the young guy who may not have the parents, right, the mom or dad or the coach, and who's struggling in school and doesn't know what to do, right? Mm-hmm. And so then he just says, you know what, F it, I'm done with school. I'm not going to school.
Even though right now we don't have any sponsors, I want to give a couple special shout outs to a couple organizations who are really doing some things. Duffy's Hope is really doing big things in the community.
Yes, he is.
And matter of fact, some people who are doing some big things in the community. Who do you think we should give a shout out right to?
Oh, wow. So Duff is doing an amazing job. Duff was actually coached me in basketball when I was 17. You need Duff on the show.
Let's get him on the show.
Duffy, Droop. Droop's doing a good job, man, with the Silk League. Yeah, absolutely. He's really doing a good job.
That's so funny that you mentioned the Silk League because I just seen Norman Oliver, right? Uh-huh. And we talked about the Summer Classic. For people who don't know, the Silk League, I said it's kind of like a remix of that. And the reason why they started that is of course, in remembrance of Terry Silk. Yeah. Terry Silk. But when we grew up, we had Stormy Classic.
Absolutely.
Norman. I'm going to get Norman on the show.
He'd be a good
Norman Oliver's going to come through the show.
You should get your dad.
I get my pops. Yeah.
Just get your dad.
My dad be fronting.
Yo, all I'm saying.
Listen to this podcast, and the reason my dad be fronting, I don't do social media. I'm like, yo, come on, Dad. Like,
you need him. He is one of the most funniest individuals. You have to watch the censored with your dad though. Your dad would just go off.
No, let him go off. That's what
let him go off. Yeah.
Listen, on the Taking Over the World podcast, we hold no punches.
He won't. He is. You have to get him on.
Listen, I'm gonna put him in the hot seat. He's like, I don't know if he want that seat.
He would. You need him on, and when he comes, I just want to be in the background and laugh. That's all I want to do. Just have your dad on here so I can be in the background and laugh.
Funny thing about it, you mentioned my pops, because he was the one who told me. He was like, because he moved to Newark, New Jersey.
Yeah.
He was like, Eugene live in Newark, and I'm like, Eugene who? He's like, Eugene Young, tall people, Logan. I said, live in Newark? And this before I knew that you had moved to Newark. He was like, yeah, he's working with one of the guys who was up there in politics. Tell me a little bit about that. And we're going to get back to Logan a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that journey.
So I...
in Newark, New Jersey.
I was in Newark, New Jersey. I worked for Cory Booker. I was actually... It's funny, even with... I used to go and meet your dad for lunch up in Newark. But I would go back and forth. Huh?
Who paid it? That nigga cheap.
I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. He paid.
Okay.
He paid. Okay. Or no. Well, he's royalty, man. So I paid. How about that?
I'm playing pops. I tell him all the time. He said, "I'm not cheap. I'm just smart with my money."
He's smart. He's smart with his money. He's smart with his money.
Right,
that's why he's got all the money. But No, so I was working in Newark. So for in May of 2013, I took a job working for then Mayor Cory Booker at the time. And I was doing, the back and forth. I had an apartment up there and still a spot down here, and I was commuting back and forth.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. Before we get to that part, because the Pacifics, like you said, you took the job, took him with Cory Booker.
Yeah.
When did you know you wanted to get into politics? And was that the first step?
So it's interesting. So kind of going back to Logan, right? And going back to, because it dovetails into this. So when Logan and I graduated from college, we decided, we wanted to come back. There was a lot of, and this, like guys that you play ball with are now in jail. Guys that you knew from your neighborhood are doing the same thing on the same corner, Mm-hmm. And, excuse me. And so I actually, Logan and I came back and we wanted to find a way to be like service. We wanted to help people, right? Originally, we didn't really want to come back. We were down in Maryland having a good time, but we came back and we just saw the same. So we said, well, what can we do? And then the next question comes up, well, what do you know how to do, right? And so we know how to play basketball. And so we're going to have some people come over. We're going to have some kids come over. They're going to play basketball. We're going to change the world. Boom, right? And then the kids come and you realize, like, this is serious. Like, you realize, then that goes back into what I was saying earlier about how hard it was for me to learn. Some of the learning issues that I had, you find kids with some of the same, if not harder issues to overcome with not as much of the resources. So we originally started as a basketball, just teach kids how to play basketball, mentoring, that kind of thing. But then the organization evolved. So now we're checking their grades. Now we're going into their classrooms, talking to their teachers, talking to their principals, all these different things. And you start seeing all these different issues. So you have young men who are doing well, right? Whose families are supportive and everything. Then you see young men who may have supportive families but are hanging out with the wrong kids. You find young men who've been sexually abused. It's never been brought up, or it's not being. There's no therapy involved for this. You've seen young men that have been victims of trauma, and so what happens is, and we started this when we were 22, 23.
And the organization was called Delaware Elite.
Delaware Elite, yes. And so we did this, and so it was myself, Logan, and Logan's older brother, Shannon, who is like a godsend to me as well. Shannon is, he's the grumpy older brother that he's
always crying on the basketball.
He's always, he's just, Shannon
right.
is, and you know what the crazy part is? Shannon is like, he's grumpy he was so grumpy with us. Oh man. But he was, you know what he was? He was teaching us, man. And he is like, I mean, literally, I tell this to Logan all the time because Shannon just celebrated one of his birthdays recently. But if it were not for Shannon, there is no Eugene. There is no Logan. Without question, there is none, because he's, he was, when we at the time we were 23, he was around 32. And so he was guiding us and he was teaching us along the way. We're teaching us how to run programs, teaching us all these different things. And it was because of this, the organization really flourished. We had taken our young guys on college tours all around the country. They had played basketball all around the country. They've been everywhere. They, were monitoring their grades. We started out with 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. And those 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th graders are now just graduating seniors. They just graduated from college, and juniors, sophomores, and freshmen in school. So it's just a beautiful thing. So doing that is what led me into the political arena, because you realize that there's so many different issues that need to be addressed. And you say to yourself, well, I can't just do them on this end. I can't just address these issues from the nonprofit side. You realize how much policy has a direct implication on what happens within the community, whether it's policing or whether it's criminal justice reform issues, the availability to get expungement or a pardon, because the kids' parents will be dealing with this. So I mean, you see these things all the time and you want to get more involved. So I tried to get involved in government. So I worked in the state legislature here in Delaware for State Representative Stephanie Bolden and Helene Keeley. Then
Shout out to Mama Bolden.
Yes.
Shout out to Miss Bolden, East Side.
Indeed.
She's retired, didn't she?
Yeah, she's
Is she retired?
No, not yet. Don't Senator Margaret Rose Henry retired.
Okay, gotcha.
God love Senator Margaret Rose Henry. But so I was working there, and it was that, and so I didn't know what was next. But then I got a call about potentially working for Cory Booker.
Did you know him at the time?
No, and it's funny, even the story how that kind of came about. I actually was. It's interesting. So I created this program with Delaware Elite to paint the top of roofs white, right? You paint the top of roof white and it saves you around 10% of energy on the building, right?
Is that a Geico commercial?
It does sound like it does sound like one, right? So if you paint the top of the building right, because the sun reflects back up instead of being absorbed. So I created this program, and I remember, and this was like 2010, I went to the city of Wilmington, right? And I said, look, I got this program. I got young guys in my program right now. We get these young guys on top of some roofs, have them paint the top of these buildings, some of these residential homes white.
Do you have insurance?
Well, I said we can figure that out.
Right.
But I'm just trying to think creative, and I'm like, look, get some 17-year-olds, paint the top of the roofs white, save grandma on her energy efficiency. You know how many people are like, Delmarva is turning off their power today. So I said, you can save some energy. You can get some young guys involved. Even if it's 10, it's somebody. It's something. And so I said this, and I went up to the city of Wilmington, and I spoke with someone from the senior staff, and he pretty much was like, no, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
So I applied for this program, and I created this program. So I applied. It's called the Clinton Global Initiative University, right? And it was out at UC San Diego. They take, quote unquote, like, I don't know about leaders, but like they take nonprofit, people in the nonprofit sector, or people trying to, social entrepreneurs, and you go out there, you get involved and engaged, and meet other people. I go out there, I end up meeting a guy by the name of Van Jones. Van Jones, who's now on CNN, he's all over the place now, but this is right when he left the White House. And I was telling Van, I had read his book earlier, all these different things. I told Van, I said, there's two men who I respect, and I like what you're doing. I don't want to be you, but I want to be the best me, but I respect what you're doing. And I want to emulate some of the ways that you're trying to help people be of service. And I said, one is you and the other is Cory Booker. And he said, well, I have a mutual friend of Cory Booker, but I'm not worried about him right now. I was like, all right. He said, I'm worried about you. I was like, okay. And he, and true to his word, we ended up just hitting it off. We started talking, and we stayed in contact. And he introduced me to one person who introduced me to another. And then later on, someone gave me a call and said, hey, what do you think about working for Cory Booker? This is like 3 years later. And I said, sure, let's do it. And I had more to say than just sure, let's do it. But I ended up getting an opportunity to work for him, and it changed my life, essentially. It absolutely changed my life. So it was an amazing experience. I owe a lot to Van. I owe a lot. There's so many people like this. I say, as I said earlier, like my mom and my dad are two greatest people to walk planet Earth. But like out underneath them, I feel like there's this long list of people that have changed my life, right? And whether it's the Shannon Watsons, the Mike Dorseys of the world, the Bill Harms, the Lee Sibleys, the Dr. Freeman Rabowski, the president of my university, or whether it was Van Jones giving me an opportunity, or Cory Booker kind of bringing me in. Like these individuals have truly shaped my life, or Cynthia Ryan. Like there's so many people that just, I would not be here if not for. And so having that experience of working for him was priceless. He opened so many doors for me. I was able to see what it was like to be in the mayor's office. And then I also saw him, we ran 2 campaigns together, one in 2013, another in 2014. So he had a special election, then he had another election in 2014. So I owe the world to him. He's just an amazing individual, and I love him to death.
Gotcha. So
absolutely.
Shout out to Cory Booker.
Absolutely.
Mr. Cory Booker. Which leads me to, and trust me, I know we could talk for
Absolutely. I know I'm going to tighten it up.
No,
because I feel like, but this is how it is. Anytime I see you on the street and we just start talking.
Yeah. And this is how you want it. And so let's fast forward a little bit.
Absolutely.
So you go up there with Cory Booker, learn some things.
Yeah.
Run for mayor. I'm pretty sure you have some thoughts in your mind.
Yeah.
Maybe I should run for mayor of Wilmington.
Yeah.
And so was that what happened? Like,
so 2000. The first initial thought that I had in running for mayor of Wilmington was in 2012.
Now, granted, you have no
nothing, no
experience,
no nothing.
I hadn't no experience,
but I hadn't even worked. I hadn't. This is before me even working for Cory Booker. I'm working in the General Assembly as an aide at this time. And it was in 2012 where I thought to myself, I could, it was after the mayoral election. I was like, I could, and then that was it. I never thought of it again. And it wasn't until I would say 2014, early 2015 where I seriously began thinking about it. Because I just believed that if, I'm not the best thing since sliced bread at all. My wife will tell you that. But
shout out to your wife.
Shout out to my wife. Absolutely.
Happy wife, happy life.
You got that right. But I believe that if we could bring a good team together, with fostering good ideas and working with a large collective of people who want to see the city move forward, I just believe that we could do it. And I just believe that it could happen. I felt like the city was heading in the wrong trajectory. And it's no knock against anyone that was in office, anyone that was running for mayor as well. It was a whole herd of us. But I just thought we could do this. And I said, I'm gonna do it. And it was interesting. So many people,
you were married at the time, newlywed. I think
I was an idiot.
Like I was, right?
Yeah, I was.
For like a year.
I was
had a kid.
I was an idiot. Like, see, this is the thing. Like, men. This is one of the biggest difference. I think one of the things that we have to do is we need to get more women involved in politics. I don't think there's enough women involved. And one of the things I tell people all the time is, and this is the sad truth, men in many cases, they will just go over and just say, oh, they don't care how qualified they have to be. They don't care about anything else. They just say, oh, I'm going to run for this office. That's what I'm going to do. Women are so much more considerate and thoughtful about everything. They say, oh, well, they second guess themselves. Like, if women thought the way that men do and just saying, I'm going to take over the mountain, I feel like we would be 10 times better as a society, because there's so many talented women that are sitting on the sidelines. And we have to get more involved. We have too many women. We have too many minorities. We have too many people that have given up being an elected official or politics to the group that's done it for however long. So when I decided I was going to run, I literally remember calling my wife and I was like, look, I'm going to run for mayor of Wilmington. She said, what? And she's like, okay,
Now, where is she from?
My wife is originally from Co-op City in the Bronx.
Okay.
So she's from there. I met her the first month, my first month in college. I met my wife. She was a sophomore at Towson. I was at UMBC. And yeah.
Right,
No, but it wasn't anything bad. But we met each other. I remember I called her. I told her, I said, hey, I'm running for mayor. She said, okay, and she was like, all right, I'm supporting you. This is, I guess I got the points because we were just recently married, and so everything was fresh and all that kind of stuff. And so she was real supportive. But my wife is like the smart one of it, like by far, hands down. My wife got her, at the time, my wife was getting her PhD from UConn. So she was getting her PhD. She was pregnant at the time.
Knocked her up.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Smart man, right? And she was pregnant at the time, and she ends up going through this process. She has the baby. She has the baby. She's working on her dissertation. All this while I'm out running around the city trying to be somebody's mayor. So my wife has given up so much for me to be here. and to be in this position. She's currently right now a professor at Franklin and Marshall, and she's just an all-star. And I'm just really thankful that she's been truly behind me in a lot of this and supportive, because a lot of times people would say no, or they have a problem with that. Marriages get broken up over stuff like this. So I've learned from that, and plus I'm paying for it every day. So I tell people all the time, anytime I go somewhere, I'm there on a permission slip. Like, I'm be honest, the fact that I'm here right now, I had to get a permission slip. Like, that's how real it is, because I'm paying for it all tenfold now. But it is, I'm just thankful for the family that we have, and understanding how important that is. So I've learned my lesson. I will be a lot more communicative in the process and moving forward. I will not just say, this is what I'm going to do.
What you using them SAT words now? Communicative.
I'm trying. I mean, is that a word? I think it's a word. But
it sounded good.
It sounded good. As long as it sounded good, my wife would get on me. But that's where I'm at. Just being more involved and engaged in family, and just being of service to the community. That's about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You tell your wife, hey, I'm going to run for mayor.
Yeah.
She's supportive.
Yeah.
And you figure it out.
Yeah.
You're young. At the time, you were 33 at the time?
I was 33.
33 when you started.
Yeah.
So some people consider that young.
Yeah.
You grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. You're
Absolutely.
33. You're young. You no political experience at the time.
Yeah.
As far as city councils, nothing like
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
You get a team together.
Yeah.
You tell people I want to run for mayor.
And
I know people thought it was a joke.
People thought
Tell me what they thought. What
so
did they think?
it's so it was interesting.
So I can tell you what somebody told me.
I know you can tell me,
I'm
because
gonna
I'm gonna tell you something. I can't. Okay.
No. Keep as a young folks.
So
keep it 100.
I'm gonna keep it 100. So I remember, there were a lot of people that said, when I would, say I'm thinking about it, I don't know. Other people, like, there was one person that said to me, literally, we went out to breakfast, and he told me, you're gonna get your A kicked, He said, you're gonna get your ass kicked, right. And I ended up paying for the meal, and I paid, but
my dad.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. So I paid for him to tell me I'm gonna get destroyed, but there were a lot of people that really there were a lot of people that said, they had certain things to say. What was interesting about it, and what frustrated me the most, was that I'm one of those kind of people, like, I don't mind if you don't like me. I don't mind if you have stuff to say about me, but, like, meet me first, And it was interesting, and because I had never been in this kind of ball game before, where the moment you say the moment you announce, there's like a certain segment of people that just say, this guy is this.
They write about it.
They write about it, and they put it. And so that part was kind of frustrating, because I'd never been in. If you never run for office, and this is your first go around, you run for mayor of a city, and like, this is real, and it really, you go through a process. It was the greatest learning lesson of my life, because you work on just building a team. You work on bringing people together. That's what made us so successful, was the fact that we had people from everywhere on this campaign, like everywhere. I mean, all throughout the city. People were just trying to give their time, their energy, some of their treasure, just to see the city become something that they wish that their children, their grandchildren can be able to say is a reality. And it was a beautiful thing. I tell people all the time, whenever you're building, I just believe this in life in general, whenever you're building a team, whenever you're doing something that involves a group of people, you should always have, especially if you're running for office, you should always have 4 to 5 people that go to the depths of hell with you, and who are also smart enough to help you get out of the depths of hell as well, right? Because it's no good being in the depths of hell and you're all stuck there looking at each other. But I was fortunate, because I had some amazing individuals who were able that were committed to our campaign, committed to the vision. And I'm grateful into eternity for them. I can't pay them enough. I can't say thank you enough. And so we worked our butts off. A lot of people thought we could do it. A lot thought we couldn't. And I think we shocked a lot of people at the end. We came 234 votes short, but that's the way the world works sometimes. So learn the lessons, and you go from there.
Listen, it's so much with that whole process, and this is a little fake side joke story. It was so funny because when you were running, I remember seeing you doing, like, when you were running, I was like, yo, like, if there's anything I can do, let me help. And I'll be honest, at the time, I was so far behind with work, as I am right now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, listen, I want to see you do it. If you need a commercial, like, don't worry about no money. Like, I want to see you do it. And it was so funny too that I was actually on a date on a date that I met some girl for Tinder. Right? It was so funny. Right?
Oh my God.
Tinder might be one of our sponsors.
This is the second time you mentioned it. Absolutely.
But the girl we actually went on a date with, we're just talking, blah, blah, blah. And I brought up you. And she was like, I ain't gonna say who she is. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I'm not, yeah.
She was like, yeah, I love you, Gene. I'm working with him. I do some stuff with him, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yo, that's what's up. And being honest, she's Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
So to see that you had people out there who I would never thought would help someone like you, and I think it was different backgrounds. I don't know how you even came across each other. Yeah. But for that type of community that you built, just behind that movement, was huge. Yeah. And one thing on this podcast, Taking on the World podcast, is the main thing we talk about is failure. Yeah. And how to bounce back from it.
Absolutely.
Failure on the way to your goals.
Absolutely.
So you're running, you're building this momentum, and I'm pretty sure on the night of, you're feeling good.
It was the most nerve-wracking night one of the most nerve-wracking nights I've had, man.
I'm pretty sure. I know it was crazy. Yeah. So tell me, how did it feel the moment when you found out who won? Or that you didn't win?
So I just thought that we're going to win this. It was almost like one of those things where you just scrape music. Is this real?
Right.
I didn't win. Like, I just thought, I just felt it. I just felt we built the best team. I felt we knocked on more doors. We knocked on 50,000 doors. We had 100 people volunteering on the day of the election.
Who counted the doors? But keep going.
You have to. That shows we knocked on more doors for this city of Wilmington race than any candidate in any race throughout the state. So that if you're running for governor, no one knocked on more doors than we did. We were just like, it became my life, and I thought we were going to pull it out. I knew it was going to be close. My campaign manager, shout out to Drew Series, who's just extremely talented individual. But he said to me the first or second time we met, when we were speaking about the campaign, he said, Eugene, you can run an amazing campaign and still lose the way this is broken down. He said, you can run a stellar campaign and still lose. And so we have to make sure it's exceptional just to make sure we have a shot. So when I saw that, then when it was like, it was certainly a punch to the gut. I don't like to lose. And anyway, I'm an athlete by nature. I don't like to lose. It was tough, but it was one of those kind of things, as we were saying earlier, I don't know if we were on camera or not when you said this, but, as long as my family's okay, my wife's good, my daughter's good, my father, my mother, like everyone, it can't be that big of a blow, right? You have to, I'm still able to move on and be of service in other ways. So don't get me wrong, for a month or so, I was like out of it. I was just, I was out of it. But then you realize like you've got to, you pick yourself up and you just get back to work, and that's what you do. So we started a nonprofit organization based around advocacy and training people up to be leaders called Network Delaware, the networkde.org.
Good plug.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're working to strengthen our community, get more people involved in the process. I say this all the time. My big thing for the city of Wilmington, just for the state of Delaware, is this. I've recognized the fact that there's someone right now over on the east side, west side, north side, riverside, whatever. There's someone out there that's 10 times more talented than me. There's someone out there right now that is 10 times more talented than I am. And if given an opportunity, they do 100 times better. And so my thing is this. We need to tap into that. We have people in our communities right now that are not being engaged or involved on a variety of issues. And these are the people that will be able to advocate the best out of anybody, right? And so for me, it's about how do we get more people from the community to understand and recognize the power that they have. And for too long, they have not, it's you become apathetic to the process where you just say, oh, I'm not voting or I'm not getting involved. It's just going to be the same old. No, you really have, think about it in my case, if 234 people would have believed in, voting for me, that could have changed the trajectory of, things happen. Races are won and lost at small margins. And so we just need to get more women involved. We need to get more people of color involved. We need to get more people from low socioeconomic status involved. We need people that speak to all of us. And that's my main thing. I just want more people involved and engaged in the process. And so that's what I love about Network Delaware. And even with the work we're doing right now with the Urban League, we're about to launch a fellowship program within the next 2 weeks. And we are going to train them. My goal is to give people game, like give them the same type of game so that they understand. I look at it like this.
They'll know you are the CEO,
CEO
of the Urban League right now, which has produced. I mean, people out there. You want to talk about Tony Allen,
Lisa Blunt Rochester,
who is doing an amazing thing. I'm gonna try to get her on. I need you to be my advocate to get her on the show.
Absolutely,
I need to get her on the show as well.
She would. She's a gem, and Tony is. I mean, I'm fortunate to follow in such footsteps. We have to get more people involved in knowing how to be of change in their community. One of the biggest issues that we have, and I'm saying this as someone who started a nonprofit, right? Who started 2 of them. Many of those individuals will not start a nonprofit. If you taught them how to advocate down Legislative Hall for their issues, they would rather do that. But because they don't know how, they end up going into these different areas of where they think they're being of service and they want to help. So my thing is, if there's a woman in her neighborhood, a mother of 2, who is just fed up with the education system and doesn't know what to do, doesn't know how to get involved, like my thing is, why don't we give that woman the resources to know that this is the state rep that you need to talk to. This is the state senator that represents you. I can't tell you how many times that I would knock on doors and a grandmother would tell me the worst thing going on in the city of Wilmington is the education system. What are you going to do about it? And I would tell them the mayor doesn't have any, he has no control of the education system. But people don't know that. So essentially you're directing a lot of your energy in one direction when it should be going to another direction. And so how do we focus that in and show them who to go to, or if there's a bill that they would support, how do we get them to show how do we teach them how to show their support for legislation that would impact their communities? So my main thing is we just need people who are more engaged and more involved. And more importantly, we need more people who are engaged and involved from our communities. We have lost this sense of community, I believe, in the city. We have a lot of people who go out and they'll say, well, the city is doing really well, which it is. The city's in from one perspective, right? Certain areas are doing very well, but we have areas and pockets in our neighborhoods that people are suffering like day in, day out. And it's not just crime, it's poverty, it's post-traumatic stress disorders from issues, things that they've seen. So we've got to be able to empower many of these men and women and children, young people, to be able to advocate for what's going on within our communities because they're not heard often enough. And so my thing is, how do we give them the game so that they're able to go out here and do that, hold people accountable, and create the world that they want to see? So that's just my goal with this. So that's why the fellowship program, which will be launching, is going to be called the James H. Gilliam Senior Fellows underneath the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League. We're doing great work with that, and also Network Delaware. We stay moving, man.
Listen, man, you were doing amazing, so many things. I mean, like I said, we can talk for days.
Yes, we could.
Especially about Wilmington, because I know I could just hear the passion in your voice. And sometimes, you see people run for politics, and some people, they run for, I want to say the wrong reason, but they run for different reasons.
Absolutely.
And I can tell, like, for people who don't know you, who haven't seen you, hopefully this interview will give them an in-depth look about where your passion is. I can tell. Like I've always tell people certain questions I didn't want to ask you because I wanted to be authentic.
Yeah.
Just my reaction. So just to hear you, I always thought you was great anyway. So just
I appreciate that, man.
to hear you in now to hear your story about how you suffered from dyslexia, the fact that we had this ADHD, we had the same story. Like as far as I had 2.2 GPA.
Oh yeah, you was better than me.
Listen, but it goes back. I wasn't supposed to graduate.
Yeah.
No, I mean like literally.
Yeah.
Like I think I graduated off technicality. No, G, you think I'm playing? True story. If I tell you,
is this from? Or is this?
Look, you gonna throw that?
Oh, take that off. Take that off. They're gonna check it down.
No, this is true story. So what I did was I looked at that as an opportunity. So when I went to Del State, I just took full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
And academically, just my first semester, this is the first time I seen a 3 point. I think I had a 3.24.
Yeah.
My freshman year.
Absolutely, man.
So to see, I was like, yo, I can do this.
Absolutely.
And I think it was at that point where I realized that I can beat someone bigger than what I was.
Absolutely.
Which leads to another point of, like you said, you got these kids from Riverside, East Side, West Side. And a lot of times people in our community in Wilmington feel as though they can't do anything or they don't know what they can do because we have this mentality, or we've been taught like this is all you're going to be. So with your youth programs and you're giving back, what is the main goal and what is the motive?
My main goal is it goes full circle. It's just to do, understanding that I am, my mother used to always say, no man is an island. And I'm here because of so many people, giving up a lot of their time, their energy, neighbors, community members, the whole nine, coaches. And so for me, my goal is, there's another, as I said earlier, there's another guy out there. There's a kid out there who's looking for an opportunity. There's a kid who is on, especially having a nonprofit organization, working with kids for so long. Like I'm going back, like I've had guys that I've known for like 10, 11 years. And so you see young guys who are battling with insecurities, battling with issues at school, battling with, even things like their sexuality. Like you see all these different things and you want to let them know that they don't have to be a follower, that they can be themselves. Because in many cases, just knowing that you can be yourself can put you on the right path.
Absolutely.
And so giving them that, and then also expanding their horizons. One of the biggest issues I believe we have in Wilmington is when people, and it's weird to say this, but like people in Wilmington live in these circumscribed social spaces where it's just in 8 blocks, that's all you know. Right? You don't know nothing outside of those 8 blocks. There's people in like areas of the West Side that have never left the West Side. And it's crazy to believe, but they, they're in high school, outside of when they go to school, but they come home, they stay around this area, they date the girls from the area, they do whatever they're going to do there. Many of our young people have not seen enough. They haven't seen outside of like Philadelphia is like the grand trip, There's so much more that this world has to offer. And through sports, I was able to see a lot, but I want more people to see and more people to experience. And so hopefully that can change a lot of their view because there's so much more that could be, you don't know what's out there unless you've seen it. And I want to be of greater service to a community that's given me so much. So, and lastly, I would say this, we have an obligation. Like you have an obligation, I have an obligation, all of us, we have an obligation. Because if we don't make this city better than the way we found it, we are all, shame on all of us, I got to go, I'm being real. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow of a young man who was murdered on 6th and Jefferson a week ago. You probably know Dwayne Grimes is the young man's name, 19 years old, beautiful young man. He was in our program. You probably know his uncle, Ray Grimes, really good in basketball. Yeah. And I coached him and I coached his cousin. Beautiful kid. His mother would do everything she could for this young man. And I just, and my heart goes out. And we just have to do better. And I'm not placing blame on no one but all of us, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's all of us. Like everyone's in on this. I don't care where you live. One of the biggest issues that we have right now is that and a lot of people like to point fingers instead of getting involved on their own. It's almost like that mentality that like we're in the same boat and I get I start pointing at you saying, you got a hole at your end of the boat. No, fool, we in the same boat, you know? And I think that's the thing that we're not realizing, that we're all in this together. We're going to sink together or we're going to rise together. And so I wish, not even I wish, I'm just serious about just trying to work with as many people, almost like the coalition of the willing, and really making sure that we make this city better when we leave it than when we found it.
That's what last thing.
Absolutely.
Before we get to the last question.
Absolutely.
So, when you see Mayor Purzycki out in the streets, how was that interaction? What does he say to you? What do you say to him?
It is.
Are you like, yo, I was on your field? Now, how is it though, seriously?
Very cordial. I have look, at the end of the day, we all want Wilmington to do well. So a certain part of me, like, we can't afford to have someone who does not do well in the mayor's office or any of these elected offices. So I don't have any animosity. I mean, a part of me, don't get me wrong, I'm a basketball player. Like, I'm an athlete. Yeah, I'm here to win. I cringe. There's certain days where I even still think about like you just, it's just that the nature of the beast. Like, you just want to win. You don't like to lose. But when we're very cordial. Hello, how you doing? That kind of thing. Like, I don't, I'm not saying like, hey, I'm running against you or anything. Like, no, I don't. I think the way I look at it is this, we need to see you do well. So my thing is, let him do his job, or the best job he can do. And then a year or so from now, I'll assess whether I want to do it or not. I don't know. I have
so the mayor race is every 2 years?
Every four. But I would make a decision, probably, I have like a year or some change to make a decision. But my thing is just, it's about service. So if it may not, like, if the best way for me to be of service to the city of Wilmington, the state of Delaware, is for me to be CEO of the Metropolitan Wilmington Urban League, I'm going to just do that. Like, if the best way for me to be of service is to run for mayor, I'm going to do that. If it's to run for anything, I'm going to do it. Like, I wanted to be of service. Like, I don't care enough about a title. Like, there is no title that is better than dad. Like, there's nothing, when my daughter runs up to me and says, Daddy, there's no mayor, no president, no vice president, no nothing that can compete with that. And so I'm not hung up on like the title of running or getting some office. I want to do something because you're taking me away from my family. So I want to do something where this is something I'm deeply invested in, and where I just believe, like, this is, with everything in me, that this is something I should be doing. And if I don't have that feeling, I'm not going to do it. And if I do have that feeling, you're not going to stop me from trying. And that's what happened with the race. Like, I just believed. And I don't care how many people said don't or you shouldn't or whatever. It didn't matter. I came to the conclusion when I ran, I said to myself, if I only get 2 votes, one is from me and hopefully the other from my wife, I'll be fine. I came to that decision very early in the game. I said that to myself. And so that's the way you want to come in. You want to just believe, and you don't want to be deterred from anyone. So we're cordial. Like I said, I don't have anything against him. He's got a big job on his hands. And if it were me in there, like, it's a big job. This is serious. This is lives. It's not a play thing. It's not for the title of it, because if it's for the title, it will wear you out quick. So, we're cool.
He's all right. We're cool.
It's cool. It's cool.
And a lot of people don't know, maybe they might not know a lot about Purzycki. And from what it looks like from the outside, it's like, and I'm not saying this to be true, but I'm saying what it could be looked at from the outside. It could be looked at like, hey, you have Eugene, who's about the community, giving back. It could be Purzycki, who's looked at like, okay, we want to make Wilmington better, but we want to make it back by building, the riverfront, building it up, getting a city, creating revenue. And I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how some people perceived it.
Yeah, the narrative that was shaped during the campaign was from both, like, there was over narratives on Eugene as being like this community guy that's involved, and Mike being the development guy, just based on our backgrounds. Like,
and I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you don't know, Mike Purzycki is the first white mayor since
who was it? It was Frawley, right? It was Frawley right before
Sills,
yeah. Because Sills was the first Was it Sills? Was it? Yeah, I believe it was.
I know Sills.
Sills was the first.
He was the only mayor that was the first mayor that I know.
Absolutely.
To me, as I got older.
That was the same one for me. Sills, and he used to live. And the crazy part is, Mayor Sills used to live right in back of us on East 6th Street, and so I would see him. So I was like, oh snap! There's like mayor. The first. Keep it real. This is.
I see him at Waltz.
Yeah, I used to. You know, the craziest. My first introduction to politics was Norman Oliver. This is no lie. Norman Oliver comes around walking, and he's got this. Storm
Norman at the
time. Yeah,
Stormy
Norman at the time. And he's got this walk. He's got on this fly jumpsuit, like this Nike jumpsuit, because this is like early '90s, something like that. He's got on a fly jumpsuit, and he's got these pamphlets, and he's passing them out. And I'm like, what are you passing out this stuff for? And it was when he was running for city council. That was the first time I had ever interacted with anyone running for elected office, and it was with Norman Oliver, Storm and Norman. So, but yeah, it's those during the campaign there were different narratives based on for all of us, right? Like I think Theo was more of like the two things. He was like the bulldog, but he was also. I always believe that Theo Gregory is one of the smartest men in the room. He's just extremely especially with institutional knowledge. Everyone had Kevin is a community guy. All these different everyone had Norman Griffiths, just corporate law. Everyone had things that they brought to the table. Maria Cabrera, Bobby Marshall, everyone, even Mary Williams. Everyone had certain things they brought to the table, and there becomes a narrative shaped around each and every one of you, and so that was the narrative for the two of us. So.
Oh, gosh, they was trying to frame that. Okay, yeah. So I know you got to go.
All right,
got to get home to the wife and kid.
Yeah, I gotta do what you gotta
how old is
do.
your daughter, by the way?
She is 2.5. My daughter will be 3 in March, man.
She's gonna be tall.
I just want, my main thing is this, all right? I'm too tall to have a short daughter, right? I'm just you can't be ridiculously short. But right. I just hope.
How tall is her mom?
My wife is 5'6" on a good day, right? I don't know.
Okay,
float with
forward.
Me. Just we'll move. She's 5'5", 5'6", something like that. Right. But my daughter, I feel like my daughter's just gonna be. My daughter's smart like her mother. Thank God. She's just ridiculously smart. She's got it all together. She's already 2.5. She tells you what she wants to do. No, daddy. Yes, daddy. I need you to go here. I get bossed around my my place all the time. I got 2 grown women telling me what to do. So life is good.
The podcast hasn't aired yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by the time this comes out, it has aired. And
Absolutely.
we're releasing it. We're set to release on Halloween. And
Absolutely.
I said the reason I wanted to release it on Halloween, whether we were ready or not, being honest, is because chasing dreams is scary.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And what we want to do with this podcast, it's taking its own form. I always know I wanted to do it, and it's taking its own form.
Sure.
And Taking on the World podcast is for people who are taking over their worlds and helping the worlds through whatever work they're doing. And I wanted to interview people who are facing challenges, who have come across failures. How do they, come back from those stumbles? And you have been great. So it leads me to my last point. It was 3 round robin quick questions, right? So I'm gonna ask you these questions. You got to tell me the first thing that pops in your mind.
Oh man! So,
first thing that pops in your mind. It's really simple, right?
Yeah.
First thing. Tell me what has been your greatest failure.
The campaign. Yeah, greatest failure. Greatest failure, and also the greatest launching pad. I feel like while it hurt to lose, it really hurt to lose, but I feel like it helped me. I was able to gain a lot of skills along the process. I was able to learn more about myself. I tell people all the time that you've got to, in life, while we don't want it to happen, I believe that the best thing that we can do for ourselves is make sure that we're stretching ourselves at all times. And that was an opportunity for me to really stretch myself. I became a lot better after. I feel like I can conquer so many more things and be of even greater service now after going through that whole process.
Amen. All right. And now your greatest accomplishment so far?
Oh, my family. My family. My greatest accomplishment is finally pestering and getting my wife to marry me. And my daughter, man. Family is it also, and it even goes back to the election, like even after sometimes what your worst losses may be, it pales in comparison to those who you love and those who you care about, whether it's your family or those from the community or just people. Like I want to see my family do well. I want to see people. I want to see you do well. I want everyone to win. I want you to be the best you and do well in that.
All right, last question.
Shoot.
What does taking over your world mean to you? Or what would it be?
Taking over my world. I think the best thing for me would be taking over my world is appreciating the journey. I don't focus as much on the goal because goals change all the time. Your goal may be to do 10 podcasts. You may end up doing 1,000, or you may end up doing podcasts, then you do videos. Goals change. But I believe like I'm at my best and I'm really in my own world when I'm focused in on the journey of how do I make myself and prepare myself to be better day in, day out. And when I'm doing that, I feel like I'm in my own world. Like when I feel like I am focusing on like what can make me better, be a better service, I feel like I'm in my world. Because I tell people all the time, it's like one of my mentors once said to me, his name is Dr. Freeman Rabowski, he's the president of UMBC, another staple of my life. And he said, when I was 21, I went into him and I said, Doc, I don't know what to do, right? I said this at Del State. And I said, I don't know what to do. I'm nervous and I'm about to graduate. I got 2 degrees, the whole 9. And he said, I know where you're going to be. I said, where am I going to be? He said, I know how far you're going to go. Well, how far am I going to go, man? And he said, if you want to know how far you're going to go, look no further than your 6 closest friends. He said, you need to be reading at least 2 hours a day. And when you get 30 and you start gaining weight, work out an hour a day. And but it was, while it may sound simple, but those things of the people you interact and what you're putting in between your ears, right? Because what you put in between your ears, your inputs have so much to do with the output that you have in the world on a day in, day out basis. So when I think about the world that I want, I think about what I need to do to get to the world that I want. And that's constantly reading, constantly learning, constantly being involved with other people who are serious about being of service to the community, and just learning to, you can't do everything. There's no Supermans out here. I haven't met them yet. And just giving up the rest and just being confident in the fact that you've done your best. That's it.
Well, there you have it. Spoken like a true gentleman.
Hey, man.
This has been Taking Over the World podcast. Eugene Young.
You've come a long way, man. I'm gonna keep it real with you. You've come a long way. You've come a long way, man. This is really cool, man. You're on. But I feel like every time when we talk, it's like, as individuals, we try to figure out what is next, and we're trying to figure out what the journey we're on, trying to make best of it. And I feel like you're in your space right now, man. I feel like it's weird, but I feel like you're in your space. I remember you were going back in DC. You're like, you're doing a lot of things, but there's an energy that people give off, and I feel like you're giving an energy like you are extremely focused on this. And this is your journey, and you're appreciating it. So, hey, man, hats off to you.
Listen, man, I know you're going to do big things. Looking forward to you being the senator
Likewise.
of Delaware. I do that plug out there. Don't worry about it. Listen, Gene, you're going to do big things, man. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I hope you guys really appreciated this podcast interview with Eugene Young.
Thank you.
And
I'm going to watch it, so at least I get one. There's one view.
It's going to get 2 views.
2 views?
2 views.
My sister or my sister, yeah, my sister.
Your sister? Your wife? Oh, 4.
My wife may not watch it.
Oh, no. You'll get 4. Logan,
I don't know. I had to tell Logan. I'll tell Logan.
Okay. Well,
I'll tell Logan.
All right. This is a definite. Your wife? Not your wife.
Yeah.
Your sister?
My sister, definitely.
Shout out to Vic.
Yeah.
Victor Santos.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love Victor Santos.
And my pops.
Yeah, your pops. I'm going to tell him you need to get. Absolutely.
And my mom.
Absolutely.
So we're at least going to get 4.
We're going to at least get 4.
4 views.
That's all. Hey, man, that's how, Rome was not conquered in a day, right?
Listen.
Rome was a started in a day. Rome was conquered. Something deal with Rome.
We didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, we didn't pay. We had ADHD. We're all over the place. Yeah.
Listen, man, we gotta go, man. I think gotta go. You gotta get out of here.
Absolutely.
But appreciate you coming through. Just taking
Thank
over the
you.
world podcast. Cheers. Oh my God.
This is good, man.